It is 3 days to the Joe News National Media Freedom Dialogue on defending media freedom ahead of the December general elections. Welcome to Joe News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. In our headlines this hour, government confirms looming food crisis as it moves to ban the export of locally grown rice, maize and soybean. It estimates the country will lose 2.2 billion cedis in revenue, with nearly 1,000 farmers likely to be hit by the dry spell.
About 928,523 farmers, cropping 1.8,557,000 hectares, are at risk.
We'll bring you details as President Akosombo directed the Finance Ministry to raise 8 billion cedis to deal with the crisis. Also coming up, MPs for communities affected by the spillage of the Akosombo Dam Slum Inter-Ministerial Committee set up by the President to look into the incident. They say it is close to a year on and the committee is yet to reach out to them or other community leaders.
Up to date, we have never cited that committee in our district. We haven't met them.
8 p.m. Winston Taki will be here with Prime Business.
Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam warns of serious impact on the economy due to impact of dry spell situation in the northern Ghana, with inflation seen as a major casualty.
Food shortage, and therefore the effect on prices, you should expect that inflation will respond, and will respond in the way that you do not want.
And later at 8:15, Razak Musbah has all the latest from the water sports.
Well, the search for a new broadcast partner key on the agenda as the 30th Ordinary Congress of the Ghana Football Association begins at the Ghana Man Soccer Center of Excellence ahead of the start of the new Ghana Premier League season due in a week's time.
We are independent, fearless, and credible. Thanks for choosing us. Please stay. The government has confirmed the country is facing a looming food crisis. The Agri Minister Brian Achampon this afternoon placed a ban on the export of locally grown rice, maize and soybeans with immediate effect. Preliminary assessment of the impact of the dry spell on 8 regions revealed nearly 500,000 directly affected, with an estimated revenue loss of 10.4 billion cedis. Briefing the media in Accra, Mr. Achampon said almost 1 million farmers are at risk of being affected by the dry spell, with an estimated revenue loss of 2.2 billion cedis to the country.
About 928,523 farmers, cropping 1.8,557,000 hectares, are at risk. And I'm talking about those at risk. These farmers will lose an estimated investment of 7.4 billion cedis if there is total crop failure. The 928,523 farmers cropping 1.8,507,000 hectares, those at risk, they will lose an estimated investment of 7.4 billion if there is total crop failure. The corresponding revenue loss is estimated at 22.2 billion. So the investment is what they put in seeds, in inputs, fertilizers, farm hands, and all that they put into crop. That is 7 billion. The revenue is the sales, what they will derive from the investment that they will make. And that is estimated at 22 billion, representing 10% of agriculture GDP, which in itself is about 220 billion. As at 20th August, 435,872 farmers, cultivating an estimated area of 871,000 hectares, have been directly affected. So earlier on, I talked about those at risk being 928,523. The 435,872 are those that have been confirmed as affected as at 20th August, and the audit is still ongoing.
He also announced measures being rolled out by the government to deal with the looming crisis, including massive importation of rice and maize, and the ban on massive importation of rice and maize, and provided affected farmers relief.
In grain supply, government will tap into the ECOWAS grain reserve and partner with the private sector to bridge the gap. Government will also bring in 300,000 metric tons of maize and 150,000 metric tons of rice to provide food support to vulnerable farmers who have lost their crop, and also for the market. Additionally, we will bring in a total volume of 26,000 metric tons of poultry feed to directly support the poultry industry, as maize, their main raw material, has been severely affected. And of the at-risk, we have been able to confirm 435,000, cultivating 871,000 hectares. Government has decided to provide financial support amounting to 1,000 Ghana cedis per hectare to the most vulnerable among these farmers as partial cover for their investment. Government will also provide affected vulnerable farmers with some food grant to enable them meet their minimum nutritional requirement.
Now, the Finance Minister, Dr. Amin Adam, has also revealed that President has directed the ministry to raise 8 billion cedis to fund the crisis relief program.
We are seeking to raise about $500 million US, the equivalent of 8 billion Ghana cedis, to fund the crisis response program. This is so much money, but we are doing this also at a time when our buffers are almost depleted. And so we intend to trigger the processes for accessing the contingency fund. We are also doing what we call budgetary alignment to reallocate some funds that were originally meant for other purposes towards addressing crisis. And so together, 2.5 billion Ghana cedis being mobilized from the budget side. We also relying on our development partners, and we've had serious engagements with our development partners over the past 1 week or so. And within this short period, we can report that we are able to secure $155 million US. That is about 2.4 billion, almost 2.5 billion Ghana cedis. And so out of the 8 billion Ghana cedis we are seeking to mobilize, we can say that we have visibility on about 5 billion Ghana cedis.
Let's do more on this. Joining us is the president of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Bismarck Osu-Norte. Also joining us is Professor Robert Adu, an associate professor at the Department of Agri-Economics, Agribusiness and Extension, KNUST. Let me start with you, Robert Bismarck Norte. Now, the crisis seems wider than we anticipated. What's your reaction?
Well, thank you very much, and good evening for the opportunity. I'm sure this is in line with the prediction we made when we had our press conference last week regarding the dry spell that we are seeing, and the fact that we also called for some emergency measures to be put in place by government to affect the impact on farmers. Some of the measures are in place. We see it has found its place in the measures announced by government. just that there are some couple of issues that we feel that needs to be properly addressed if these measures are not going to be counterproductive. The first one has to do with the ban on the exportation material. And we were saying that before such announcement that there was a ban, there should be some strong mechanisms that are put in place to ensure that farmers do not suffer price reduction due to the ban. This is because normally when ban is high,
Bismarck, you mind repositioning yourself? Your line keeps breaking a bit.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly now. Yes. Bismarck.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's give it a try.
Yes, great. So the point I was making is that when it comes to issue of ban for the export of some of these things, the consequences is that because farmers are not able to have access to the external market where they pay good value for the produce, the farmers suffer at the hands of the local market people who are not ready to pay the actual price for their produce. So you see that the farmers will suffer price losses because of this ban. So what we are expecting is that the government should have announced that there is a guaranteed market price or a minimum market price to which, if you're a farmer and you are interested in selling your produce to either the agri director or BOFA, this is the price that the government is willing to buy. And the price is competitive. Once this is in place, the Minister of Food and Agri and the Minister of Defense do not need to collaborate to put security agencies at the border post.
Okay.
Because once farmers know that they are having competitive prices locally, there is no incentive for them to move the goods outside the country. But if you don't put those systems in place, then you are creating a situation where farmers
But Bismarck, are you saying that you cultivate thinking about selling to foreigners, people who move their food out of Ghana?
No. We, over the past years, one of our major cries has been the high cost of inputs and agricultural services. So when a farmer incurs costs, let's say a minimum of about 3,000 to 4,000 cedis per acre to do 1 acre of maize, the expectation is that if for nothing at all, someone should recover that 4,000 cedis and the next time pay. But if produce this particular product and people are offering prices that will not make you break even, that doesn't make sense to sell.
Okay.
So if you are having people who are able to come and purchase the input, the produce at those competitive prices, while you are breaking even and making profit, that's economical and it makes sense.
All right, but so government wants to support you farmers with 1,000 cedis per hectare. Enough?
Yeah, you see, even that one, we need to further interrogate it.
Okay.
Because the ministry indicated that they've identified over 400,000 farmers who have suffered. And in giving out the grant, they were going to identify the vulnerable of those people to give them 1,000 cedis per hectare. Now, the question is, what criteria are they using to determine who is vulnerable? Because we have a history with our politicians that anytime they create a caveat that they identify vulnerable or inner groups of people, then they are targeting party people. So what is the criteria that they are using to identify who is vulnerable and who is not? So if there's a support, why don't you make it blanket that every farmer who was affected by the flood or who was affected by the drought, I beg your pardon, should be entitled to that in addition to input.
Okay,
but the moment you create segregation, that you are identifying the vulnerable, then you are creating loopholes.
I'm grateful to you.
Example we saw with the PFJ 2.0.
Okay, grateful, Bismarck, for your thought here. Let's bring in Prof. Seyedu. Prof, government is promising to give handouts to the most vulnerable farmers. You are an agri economist. What is the best way for government to implement this?
Thank you very much, Kudo. I think the indication is okay, but the amount looks a bit meager to me. Okay. One, there are farmers who have contracted loans and therefore have incurred some interest, and they need to pay. Now you are giving them 1,000 Ghana cedis for an acre, and for a hectare. And even this 1,000 Ghana cedis is not enough to cover the losses incurred per acre. So already the quantum is not much. They need to look at it again. Okay. But I think that we have officers at the Ministry of Agri Department, at the various district assemblies. They have MIS officers, Management Information System officers. They work closely with the extension agents. They are in close contact with our farmers. So they can go down there and begin to identify the vulnerable farmers. They've been dealing with them over the years, so they know. And they can also estimate the extent of losses so that this blanket amount of 1,000 per farmer, irrespective of the quantum of loss, maybe they can use data to try and work on that so that those who have suffered greatly can be compensated proportionately. So I think that is what has to be done.
Okay. Now, Prof, there are also plans to import more grains. Will that really help avert the looming crisis?
Yes, currently, you see, we are only dealing with the symptom. And so once you're in an emergency situation, importation becomes one of the obvious solutions that you have to look at. So once you are banning export, you need to also bring in adequate quantities so that you can sustain the local poultry industry and all that. I think the critical question really is whether Ghana has the foreign exchange. We have the money to be able to bring these things in. Remember, it is going to put a lot of stress on the Ghanaian cedi again. So that is where the issue really is. Other than that, when you are in an emergency situation, they are going to fall on the ECOWAS reserve, which is okay. Then you bring in a little from the export market, and then you try to contain whatever you have within. I think those are short-term measures that are okay, but these are not tackling the root causes of the issue. Okay. So I think that this is only giving us a signal that the future doesn't look good. And so as we always talk about irrigation, now we are in a major political season. Let our political parties think through irrigation schemes that are workable so that we don't suffer this again. Okay. Because if we don't prepare, climate change is already with us.
Prof, I'm grateful. I think your point is well made, so I'm grateful for joining us with your thought, Professor Aidu there. And away from that, the Konfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital is battling to pay a 1 million cedi import duty on water fountain equipment for the oncology department of the hospital. Doctors of the unit recently went on strike to protest the delay in the restoration of the linear accelerator system required for the treatment of cancer patients. Chief Executive Officer of CARTH, Professor Ochre Adai Mensah, is pleading with the government to waive the import duty after an unbudgeted amount was spent on importing the machine. Nana Ojima was at a performance review meeting and has come through this report.
In June this year, cancer patients reporting for care at the oncology unit of the Konfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital were left stranded after doctors suspended services in demand for the essential equipment. After the fixing of the linear accelerator system, it remained non-operational due to the breakdown of a water phantom used for calibration. The hospital, after the procurement of the equipment at the cost of $110,000, is now battling payment of a 1 million cedi import duty. CEO Dr. Adai Mensah says the breakdown of the equipment is recorded occasionally.
You would recall that our oncology doctors went on strike and was on the basis of the fact that a LINAC machine had not been repaired. We entered into a PPM. We are paying around $210,000 a year for the PPM. Immediately we fixed that. Then there was a problem with the water phantom that was required to calibrate the radiotherapy doses. Now guess what? It had not been budgeted for. The total cost was $110,000. We have paid for that. The equipment is in-house, but we are having to battle with about 1 million cedis by way of duty. We have written for exemption. Dr. Nsia Asari and the Ministry of Finance are working very hard at it.
In the past 6 months, apart from the Hill Konfanoche project, spearheaded by Asantehene, some facilities are being refurbished. With 2.6 million cedis, a comprehensive renovation was undertaken on the hospital's physiotherapy and laundry units. Renovation of the main theatre is in the advanced stage, as works on the old dialysis center, family medicine block, and assisted productive technology reach the advanced stage. Dr. Ade Mensah explains the impact when completed.
The refurbishment of this theatre. So this main theatre has not been used for a couple of months. It's long overdue, but we are getting there. All the civil works have been completed. You had opportunity to go around and assess things for yourself. What we are waiting for presently is some anesthesia machines, some theatre beds and all that. The procurement processes are far advanced. We are expecting that the suppliers would supply these equipment that are needed as soon as possible. But even at that, there are other places that we call makeshift theatres that cases are being done and so on and so on.
Roof leakages at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital have ceased after intensive works were done under the first phase of the Hill Konfanoche project.
You need to visit A3, A4, A5, and you saw the kind of work that had gone. All the mechanical, electrical and plumbing works have been completed on A4, A5. What we are waiting for is the tiling of the floor, the fixing of the windows. We saw a demo of the one window that had been fixed, and we had the opportunity of comparing the new one to the old one. Vast difference in terms of quality, in terms of ambience. And I have always said that once this project is completed, there will not be any need for a special ward.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
The National Identification Authority says up to 110,000 Ghanaians are currently being investigated for allegedly attempting to register multiple times onto the Ghana Card Register. Appearing before the Assurances Committee of Parliament, Executive Secretary of the NIA, Professor Kenneth Atefua, also revealed there are currently nearly 18.2 million Ghanaians who have been enrolled onto the register, but almost 560,000 cards are yet to be issued to registrants.
In the case of total enrollments, 145,839 Ghanaians registered onto the National Identity Register. And the total number of cards printed is indicated as 17.82 million, and the total issued is 17,323,416. Mr. Chairman, the total number of cards not issued to Ghanaians as at the date of compilation of this report, which was the 20th of August 2024, is 559,457. And cards that have been cleared and are ready to be printed stands at 151,896. We have a total of 110,936 as a number of Ghanaians who have attempted multiple registration and therefore whose cards have gone into delinquency and are being investigated, Mr. Chairman. Now, in terms of statistics, which is of great interest, that's the state of play.
Let's just stay in Parliament because victims of Akosombo Dam Spillage are preparing to sue government over the lack of action to resettle and compensate victims of the Akosombo Dam Spillage disaster. MPs in communities affected by this spillage are up in arms against the Inter-Ministerial Committee set up by President Akufo-Addo for doing nothing to alleviate the suffering of their people. The committee, chaired by the Chief of Staff with a number of other top ministers as members, was tasked to consider resettlement and compensation for victims, but nearly 1 year after the disaster, MPs for the area say neither of them nor other community leaders have been contacted by the committee even once. Speaking during a stakeholder hearing on the disaster, the MPs expressed their anger about the state of their constituents.
So we did all we could. The disappointing aspect of the whole thing was that we heard on the radio that a 13-member Inter-Ministerial committee was put in place to handle the disaster. So having heard this, our chiefs played a very major role. The chiefs brought all of us together. I mean the MPs and the DCs. They also formed a 13-member committee in anticipation of the arrival of the 13-member ministerial committee, so that we could brief them about all that was going on. But until up to date, we have never cited that committee in our district. We haven't met them.
Now, Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent Kweku Asante was at this hearing and has joined with details. Kweku, first, tell us about this claim by Akosombo Blackwell that they are going to sue in the coming weeks.
Well, Grace, we know that some of the Akosombo Blackwell MPs whose constituencies were largely affected by this issue have been making a lot of noise, demanding that government make commitment to resettle and compensate these victims. Government has been tarrying slowly. Just heard the Member of Parliament say that they have not heard much from the Inter-Ministerial Committee, for which reason they do not believe government is doing its best to resolve this issue. Some of the Akosombo Blackwell said they've discussed this with their lawyers. Their next step is to go to court in the next 2 days, or next 2 weeks, I should say. Government does not come clean on the promise they made to the people.
We have met, and we don't want this to be hidden from you. We have said that if government does not do something about compensation, we have spoken to our lawyers. We are headed to court because it is our right. So we don't want to hide this from you. If in the next few weeks, because next month will be the first anniversary, so we have met and said that if by the first anniversary we don't get strong indication, we don't see actually the first group of people receiving compensation, then we have no choice but to resort to the courts for class action for all the victims to receive compensation. Because as Togbe said, it's like we've been forgotten.
Now, Kweku, at the level of the government, did anything come up to what exactly they are doing?
Well, Grace, yes, we know that Kojo Konkuma, Works and Housing Minister, had been saying some things on the floor of Parliament months ago. Today, the Chief Director of that same ministry did give some indication that government has released an initial 200 million Ghana cedis. But that is not enough. We are expecting some more 400 million Ghana cedis. It's one of their plans to be able to totally deal with this concern.
Chair, government made available an amount of 200 million to start the process. We've sent a memo to Cabinet about various options, how to proceed in resolving this issue. In all, we projected about 600 million cedis to do the project. But currently we have 200 million cedis. So if you are to do it in a year, it means that we need 600 million to be released for the resettlement process. If it's going to be 2 years, then it means that we need additional 100 million.
Well, this is still the Joy News Prime. We'll take a break here. We'll be back with more. Please do stay. Welcome back from the break. Now, the West African Examinations Council says it will strictly enforce rules governing all examinations under its supervision. The statement follows the prevention of some 7 candidates from partaking in the ongoing West Africa School Certificate Examination, WASSCE, on Monday. The student from Laboni Senior High School arrived more than an hour late to the center located on the school's Accra campus and blamed their inability to meet the reporting time on the traffic situation. But authorities said they won't have any of that, sending them away. Prince Kudoga has more.
Social Studies Paper 2 is the first sit-down exam of this year's West African School Certificate Examination, WASSCE. At the Osu Presbyterian Senior High School, over 15 candidates reported late and were nearly denied access. But there was no luck for some 7 others at the Laboni Senior High School. They were prevented from entering the exam hall altogether because they had arrived 1 hour after the exam had started. Head of the center, Rejoice Aku Akolo, who is also headmistress of the Laboni Senior High School, explains the decision to deny the candidates access.
If you stay out of an exam over an hour, what were you doing outside? We want them to be seated. We are all around. As a supervisor of the exam, I need to conduct the exam in a more conducive atmosphere. And I am not happy that the students came that late. We were all over everywhere looking for them, only for them to surface in group that late. And this is not the first time they have come late.
Some of the students who spoke to Joy News blamed the traffic situation for their lateness.
I came late actually, but I'm from a far place, I'm from Dodowa, and then there's traffic on the way, so it's not deliberately that I want to come late. I know I have errors, I have to come in, but there's traffic on the way, I can't do anything about it.
The head of the National Office of WASSCE, Dr. Rosemond Wilson, agreed with the decision and said the conduct of the candidates amounts to a violation of the rules governing the examination.
Normally, when they start at the time that they have to start 8:30, most of the students keep on staying outside and waiting for, in quotes, apo and other things. So that was why the rules was revised. And we said they should come in and stay in 30 minutes before the start of each paper. So the rules have already been revised and considered.
Meanwhile, Deputy Education Minister Reverend Intim Forjo says his office will look into the matter.
The rules are very clear, and therefore I would want to find out the exact incident that happened and obtain full details of it. There are rules to every examination, and I'll appeal that all stakeholders abide by that rule. If you're a student, go by the rules. If you're an invigilator, go by the rules. If you're a WASSCE, go by the rules. So in this particular instance you cited, I'll look into it. It hasn't come to my attention, but thanks for bringing it to my attention. We will look into it and put things right where they have to be put right.
A total of 460,611 students are sitting for this year's examination across the 16 regions of the country. Prince Kwame Kuduga's report for Joy News.
Now, after months of uncertainty and complaints, President Akufo-Addo Monday broke ground for the commencement of expansion works on the Accra-Tema Motorway. The first phase of the project, which is expected to cost about $380 million, will bring huge relief to motorists who have described the pothole-ridden stretch as a death trap. Speaking at the short-cutting ceremony to mark the commencement of the project, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, indicated that the rehabilitation, which involves expanding the 19.5-kilometer road into a 10-lane expressway, will cost an estimated $660 million.
And the time has come to renew and expand this motorway to meet the needs of a modern and rapidly developing Ghana. The total cost of the entire project scope of work is $660 million, with the first section alone requiring $380 million. Through the strategic leadership of our government and the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, we have secured $380 million in equity and viability gap funding. Moreover, by relying on a PPP approach, we can invite financial institutions and a wide range of investors to further contribute to financing our nation's future.
Okay. Now, speaking at the ceremony, the president indicated that a project, which is a private-public partnership, has been awarded to a Ghanaian contractor.
I'm particularly pleased to note that the contractor for the first phase of this project is Messrs. Maripoma Enterprise Limited, a wholly owned Ghanaian company. This is a testament to the capacity, capability, and ingenuity of our domestic enterprises, and I'm confident that they will deliver this project to the highest standards. It is a source of great pride. The reconstruction and expansion of the Accra-Tema Motorway is taking place during my tenure as president. This project is proof of my government's commitment to building a Ghana that is modern, prosperous, and connected. I urge the Ministries of Roads and Highways and Finance to continue working diligently to ensure that this project is delivered on time.
Now, the vice presidential, flag bearer of the vice presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has called on John Mahama to wake up from his sleep with his promise of ensuring an apprenticeship policy and program when elected. A policy, he said, has already been implemented 4 years ago when Cabinet and the current government approved the National Apprenticeship Policy with the TVET institution. Speaking at a Ghana Enterprise Agency and Adventist Students Association's Entrepreneurship Skills Training in Sunyani, Dr. Opoku Prempeh says the country can't afford to go back to the dark days and appealed to Ghanaians to retain the MPP government to continue its good works. Vincent Asifua, Deputy Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, spoke on his behalf.
I've heard somebody who was promising apprenticeship policy and program. That man is saying that when he becomes president, he is going to ensure that there is an apprenticeship policy and program. But it seems he is sleeping. This is a program that the Honorable Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh implemented in 2020. At the time when Cabinet approved the National Apprenticeship Policy that requires commission for technical and vocational education and training, passed under the Education Regulatory Bodies Act 2020. Today, we have CTVET. It is an institution that has been established under the Education Regulatory Bodies Act 2020.
Now, Chairman of Land and Forestry Committee of Parliament, Mr. Francis Menu Adabo, has assured that the Boundary Commission Act will soon be passed by Parliament to enhance the safeguarding of Ghana's boundaries. He gave this assurance at the annual conference of land surveyors held in the Eastern Regional Capital of Koforidua. Maxwell Kudeko has more in the following report.
The Boundaries Commission Act is crucial for safeguarding the country's borders and preventing dispute with neighboring countries. Says Parliament has gone very far with the drafting process and assured that the law will be passed before this Parliament is dissolved. He urged land surveyors to leverage on geospatial artificial intelligence for real-time data analysis and monitoring, enhancing precision in land surveying.
And I promise you that before I leave Parliament on the 6th of January 2025, the Boundary Commission Act will also be passed. Hands-on experience with Joe AI tools and techniques is becoming essential for aspiring professionals. But the benefit of these modern surveying innovations go far beyond just data collection and analysis. By leveraging powerful algorithms and deep learning models, Joe AI can also assist with decision-making, change detection, and predictive analytics.
President of the Ghana Institute of Surveyors, Dr. Anthony Akon-Adjei, highlighted that the convergence of artificial intelligence and geospatial technology holds the potential to unlock unprecedented insight, drive innovation, and address some of these most pressing global challenges. He called on members to remain committed to excellence, integrity, and public trust.
We stand at a threshold of a new era where potentials of geospatial artificial intelligence and other technologies promise to revolutionize the way we collect, analyze, and utilize data, enabling us to deliver more accurate, efficient, and sustainable solutions. it is essential that geospatial artificial intelligence is developed and used responsibly in the land surveying, prioritizing ethical consideration to address issues like accountability, transparency, and bias.
Theme for the conference was on revolutionizing land surveying, unleashing the power of geospatial artificial intelligence and modern techniques. Maxwell Kodeka report for Joy News.
Well, welcome back. Let's do showbiz, and Becky Bex joins me with all the latest. Hi, Becky. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How was your weekend?
It was good, but with a lot of work.
Were you at the NDC manifesto?
No, I was home.
You were
I had
home.
some family issues, so yeah.
Okay.
And you know, Joy, we operate in groups. So first group went to cover the Takrady event. The other group went to cover.
You couldn't go for that.
No, it's just because the other group had to go and cover this one.
Okay, I'll bring you more details on what the other group did.
Okay.
About the NDC manifesto, but let's go to Kumasi and talk about Esther Smith, because her very first concert, which she actually came down to do, was held, and we have all the details here for you this evening. So those were highlights from Esther Smith live in Kumasi. The second event will be happening in Accra, so do make sure that you join in on that one. Let me take you to the NDC, because the National Democratic Congress laid out plans to employ the services of content creators to help in marketing Ghana's culture to the world. This is a promise made by the NDC manifesto, which was launched in Winneba on August 24, 2024. Quote, "We will support young digital content creators to develop content to promote Ghanaian culture. portion of the manifesto states. It also details some of the promises made by the presidential candidate for the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, for Ghana's creative economy. So we have some right here. So the other points that were made was to support young digital content creators and management system for copyright and royalties in Ghana.
Okay.
There's also partner with the private sector to build an ultra-modern recreation village with auditoriums for films, musicals, concerts, and other special events.
Okay. I've heard a lot of the creatives calling for this.
Yeah.
So let's see.
And also facilitate, enforce, and enhance the collection and management system for copyright and royalties in Ghana. We have issues in that aspect, and so bringing that also. So there's also saying that they will review and strictly enforce broadcasting digital media and local content provision to stimulate local artistic productions. They also did mention in that report that they will revive the Creative Arts Fund to provide sustainable financial support for startups and the ailing large, medium, and small creative enterprises. So there's more on myjoyonline.com when you want to find out more about
the
this
manifesto.
Manifesto that has to do with the creative arts sector. I know that's the main line dealt with everything that
I mean, we are unpacking the manifestos.
You're still doing that?
Oh, exactly, because
I just did my unpacking.
Yeah, you unpacked the that of the creative. You remember that now the NDC has brought it on. The MPP also has, so we have the opportunity now to do comparisons. So we take the creative arts. What is the MPP saying? What is the NDC saying? And then so it's going to be unpacking them until we get to the election. So
Joy News.
We are independent, fearless, credible, and we are your election headquarters.
That's why we have you here. But before, please remember to brush your teeth with Pepsodent this evening when you're going to bed. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, use Pepsodent, because with Pepsodent, every smile matters. Go to myjoyonline.com. That's where you find all the news. We're so grateful for your time. Grace, take a break. We're done. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Prime Business with me, Winston Taki, and our first business story. Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam is warning of serious impact on the economy as a result of the dry situation in the northern region. The minister is worried about how inflation could be a major casualty. Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has been speaking at a media briefing in Accra.
When you see food shortage, and therefore the effect on prices, you should expect that inflation will respond, and will respond in the way that you do not want. Then we are also talking about bringing in food for the market, and also to provide food reliefs. I'm here to discuss with the minister how we are going to source the food. He may be running away from mentioning imports, but we already import a lot of our food. And so one other ways the economy may be affected is from the perspective of foreign exchange. People are complaining the cedi is getting weaker against the dollar, the rate is higher against the cedi. And so if you are going to bring in more food to support what we already have, you need to back it with forex. And therefore the demand for the dollar will certainly increase relative to what we anticipated if we didn't have to meet the additional food requirement, some of which may come through imports. And so in different ways, the economy is going to be affected.
Government is looking for 8 billion cedis to support the country's food security situation. According to the Finance Minister, this will be a combination of funds from contingency fund, budget realignment, and development partners. Meanwhile, Agric Minister Brian Achampon has been given details on how some financial support for the affected farmers will be given.
Additionally, we will bring in a total volume of 26,000 metric tons of poultry feed to directly support the poultry industry, as maize, their main raw material, has been severely affected. And of the at-risk, we have been able to confirm 435,000, cultivating 871,000 hectares. Government has decided to provide financial support amounting to 1,000 Ghana cedis per hectare to the most vulnerable among these farmers as partial cover for their investment. Government will also provide affected vulnerable farmers with some food grant to enable them meet their minimum nutritional requirement.
Commercial banks are expecting interest rates to drop further as a result of falling inflation in order to formulate a more sustainable lending program to support businesses. According to the Managing Director for DCB Bank, Michael Adomako, this will help in bringing down the high non-performing loans in the banking sector. Mr. Adomako was speaking to journalists after addressing some investors from shareholders on the fact behind the figure series at the Ghana Stock Exchange.
NPLs, as you saw in the Bank of Ghana report, NPLs are high, over 20% in the industry. Yes, GCB as an individual bank, NPLs have come down slightly, but they are still high. They are not where we want to be. They are outside of our risk appetite, and we still need to work hard to bring NPLs down. What are we going to do about it? Tighter underwriting standards, working with our customers to understand their businesses better and structure deals better. But the real fundamental issue is interest rates are high. Okay, so we have to find ways and means of getting our customers to attain liquidity, to attain financing without necessarily borrowing. We're doing a lot of structured trade finance types of transactions, which are structured in such a way that they don't have to borrow and pay the kind of interest rate. But the good news is that inflation is coming down, interest rates are coming down. I know the Bank of Ghana is watching very closely. The pressures are still there. I think at the right time, monetary policy rates will also come down, the GRR rates will come down, and we'll get ourselves into a more sustainable lending program to support Ghanaian businesses and individuals so that businesses can do. It is in the interest of banks that interest rates are sustainable, because if interest rates are sustainable, we can lend more, we can make more money, we can create more value for our shareholders, and our customers can also pay back our loans.
Now, moving on, acquiring litigation-free land can be a major headache for property seekers. However, Ultimate Land Hub Limited offers innovative and cost-effective solutions with hassle-free land acquisition process across the country. Whether you are looking at prime sites like Central University, Shire Hills, or Ebri, Ultimate Land Hub has you covered. This year at the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair, the company is preparing to offer discounted land parcels to prospective buyers. Here's a glimpse of what the company does best.
My name is Wisdom Agbodo, and I'm with Ultimate Land Hub. Ultimate Land Hub is a real estate company that has been in existence for the past 5 years now, and it is specialized in selling of lands. We have our lands in prime areas in Accra, such as Shire Hills, Pram around the Central University. We also have areas within Ebri, particularly Ebri Obuadaka. It is about 35 minutes drive from Adonten Senior High School, and also we have areas within Kumasi and its environs that we are selling. As part of our services as well, we are also into services such as property management, property development, brokerage services as a company. at Ultimate Land Hub, we focusing on every group of people, be it individuals, institutions or corporate institutions, group of people, and of course those who are also living diaspora, who are looking forward to making real estate investments in Ghana. All this group of people form part of our client base and the people that we are focusing on or we are targeting as our prospective client base. At Ultimate Land Hub, we have made some sales from 5 years for the past years. Okay, so in an area like Shah Hills, we have made about 35 to 45 acres. In Pram Pram, we have made about 30 to 45 acres of sales. Ibri, we have also made about 5 acres of sales. And of course, in Kumasi as well, we have made about 10 acres of sales. At Ultimate Land Hub, our key focus is on the security that we would provide or we would give to purchasers or buyers from people who buy from us. So in this view or in this regard, the security or the peace of mind of each client is our topmost priority. And as a result of that, we ensure that all lands that we put up for sale are litigation free. They are not lands that have previously been acquired by any group of person or any people or whatsoever. They are lands that are totally litigation free. And of course, I can assure each and everybody who is interested in making a purchase from Ultimate Land Hub that their decision will not be a decision that will be in regret, since we consider or we take the security of client base to be a topmost priority. At Ultimate Land Hub, another key reason why a client or a buyer should consider making a purchase from Ultimate Land Hub is because our lands have been strategically positioned in such a way that the proximity to town is not far. I mean, when we talk of accessibility, you drive about 5 to 8 minutes drive and you are hitting the main road. At Ultimate Land Hub, between 18 to 40,000 Ghana cedis, you are making a purchase for a full plot size of land from Ultimate Land Hub. And the most important thing or the most interesting thing is that we have flexible payment terms. And of course, with a down payment of about 50% and the rest being spread over a period of 6 months, you have become your own landlord, and of course, you can start building your tomorrow's dream today.
So this is the Ebri site plan. It's about 14 acres of land. And what you see here is the main road leading to Kuferidria. Now this site plan is demarcated with proper roads. After every 2 plots, there is a road. So on these lines you see here, these are all roads. So all this 1, 2, 3, all the way to 14 houses, this is their road. They have a road in front of them. Now with this, the roads are all 30 to 40 square feet. In the sense, so that at least everyone will have the drainage system in place, the light, everything is factored into this. Now, when you buy here, one good thing is that because it's an estate, we have a plan for like the commercial areas, and then we have the residential areas. Now, when we come to the commercial areas, those places are for shopping malls, the police station, the health center, shops, hotels, and other amenities for the community living here.
At the upcoming Joy EcoBank Habitat Fair, I entreat all patrons to be dress rehearsed and be dress prepared for amazing discount offers that Ultimate Land Hub will be putting out, which would be ranging from 12 to 25% on all our lands at the various locations that our lands are situated. I entreat all patrons one more time to locate our stand under the fair and enjoy this amazing discount that Ultimate Land Hub would be bringing out to the Joy EcoBank Habitat Fair. Ultimate Land Hub can be located at Pantai, Asori Junction, and on all social media handles by searching Ultimate Land Hub. We also have our office based in Kumasi, and of course, you can reach Ultimate Land Hub directly on 053-590-7646. 053 590-7646. We are looking forward to seeing all patrons who are interested in building their tomorrow's dream today and becoming their own landlord to make their way to the Joy News EcoBank Habitat Fair to make a purchase from Ultimate Land Hub and of course make this dream become a reality.
Now for you by way of business here on Prime Business. My name is Winston Taki. Up next is Prime Sports. Stay tuned.
Hi there, welcome to Prime Sports with me, Razak Musbao. Now, tonight, the 30th Ordinary Congress of the Ghana Football Association has commenced at the Ghana Man Soccer Center of Excellence in Pram Pram. Now, the event marks a significant gathering of football stakeholders across the nation ahead of the start of the new season. Now, a new broadcast partner for the Ghana Premier League is among other issues to be deliberated at the Congress. Joy Sports' Victor Tamaklo has been monitoring the first day of the event and also looking forward to what to expect tomorrow. And he joins me in the studio with some update on all that has been happening today at Pram Pram at the Ghana Man Soccer Center of Excellence. As you were just talking about how significant this Congress is ahead of the start of the new season. First of all, just give us a little highlight of what this Congress is going to be about.
Well, this is the 30th session of Congress. For the first time, every delegate of the Ghana Football Association had to spend the night at Pram Pram, which was the GFA's way of showing its members what they have used some of their resources for to revamp Pram Pram and give it a facelift, expand the facility to accommodate a few more hostels, which is why now they are able to accommodate in excess of 200 people who showed up, 125 of them being delegates, the remaining being staff of the Ghana Football Association. So today, they cut short for the construction of a swimming pool and a gym that are supposed to be new additions to their facility at Pram Pram. They also had to hold some informal meetings between the Premier League clubs and the Division 1 League clubs, and essentially the subdivisions as far as Congress is concerned. So that essentially is what happened today at Pram Pram.
Tomorrow is going to be the big day, and why is it a big day? What are the key issues that most people are looking forward to come tomorrow?
So, as you know, the format for Congress has changed. It is no longer the forum for conversations and debates like it used to be. The only time there is a debate is when there is a matter for which a decision has not been made, and then Congress has to decide on the spot. And so maybe a motion has to be moved, it will be put to a vote, and then a determination will be made. Otherwise, all other matters are deliberated on and with decisions taken before the day of Congress. So when they get to Pram Pram tomorrow, the FA essentially is going to tell its members and the rest of the world the decisions that they have already taken. Per their standing orders, they are supposed to inform all members 40 clear days before what is on the agenda. And if there are any other issues that Congress members or members of the Ghana Football Association would want to see addressed, they put those issues forward and in writing. So all of these processes are what have led us here. And tomorrow, the expectation is that the General Secretary will read the activity reports for the year under review. They will also read the budget statement for all the expenditure for the past year, and then also seek approval for their budgets for the year for the new season. One of the things we do expect the GFA to communicate has to be the clarification of whether or not the Ghana Premier League will begin on the 6th of September, as previously announced. Issues of the broadcast partners of the league are also expected. We are expecting a significant announcement from the Ghana Football Association, or at least some clarity on whether or not the new season is going to have a partner. As we speak, there is nothing like that because StarTimes decided not to continue with the agreements with the Ghana Football Association. So all of these pockets of information about GBC and whether or not they've been able to pay $2 million US or in excess of that, tomorrow we should have finality. One other matter is also the salt curtain ceremony that we expect for the Bet Power Park. Perhaps the only legacy, if you like, from the previous title sponsor of the Ghana Premier League. That also will happen tomorrow.
for work to begin.
Interesting. We're going to be on grounds tomorrow for coverage of it. We're expecting that it's going to last till maybe a late afternoon thereabout.
Yeah, from mid-morning is when we expect the entire event to begin.
Interesting. Based on what you have picked, are there any notable absentees at this Congress?
Not necessarily. I think we've seen every single power block. So far, from the dignitaries that have shown up, the FA president himself, who is expected to be the last person to speak, he will be there. I believe the sports minister is going to be there. The National Sports Authority will be represented tomorrow as well. We've seen all of the clubs in attendance today. The Professional Footballers Association of Ghana, even some members who are former players were represented today. And so essentially, we do expect a full house tomorrow.
We'll be bringing you more update on that Congress taking place at the Ghana Soccer Center of Excellence. And Joy Sports is going to be on grounds, and we can keep tabs on all that will be happening from there on all our socials and our subsequent bulletins. Achu Tamaklo will be there on grounds. But let me tell you about Ghana Premier League champion Summertex, because they have moved now to the next stage of the CAF Champions League following their victory over Victoria United. And they will face Morocco's Raja Casablanca in the final qualifying round in that competition. Now, their head coach, Nuruddin Amadou, has been speaking ahead of that encounter against Raja Casablanca, and he has vowed that they will give them a game of their life.
I think we anticipated that it was going to be tough, because when we went there, the officiating was not good, and they didn't allow us to take clip. We didn't video the match, and so we couldn't, have a playback and see exactly, because they prevented it from it. And so we have to just use our visual, what we have seen, and maybe some few listen. But this is how they played there. And you could see that we have a long way to go, because we have to learn. Because they were very physical, but I told them that they should be composed. They should foul us, we shouldn't foul them. Because in an attempt to also retaliate, maybe the would have gone against us. So I think that it was a difficult game, but what is most important is that we have won.
You face Raja in the next round. What are the plans and the preparations going to that one?
I think that we need to grow. We need to be tactically awake a little more. We have certain things that we shouldn't be doing at this stage. But I think that it's a young team, and so we will grow into maturity as the game progresses. We anticipate a very tough side, because Raja is an experienced team. They are experienced in the Champions, but we will give them a match of their lives.
I think the 2 games against Victoria United gives you what you want in terms of preparations.
It has given us some insight as to how we should prepare in certain players. When we went there, some players featured. I took them out, brought in some 2 players, so I have to think about it, especially when I go and sit back and look at the game. Then I have to prepare other players going forward.
Tonight with me, Razak Musbah. Thank you so much for your company.